how it goes to both of us as a saved copy, and then if there's anything I have to redact, I will, but otherwise I tend not to edit these, but you are being recorded, so avoiding legal snags by disclosing. So don't admit to any, like, felonies right now, but, like, other than that, um, you know, free to talk about whatever. You look amazing. How is it that, the quarantine has made everybody just kind of like me, like, I trimmed my ear hair in anticipation of like seeing you on webcam because I'm like, oh my God, but you look terrific. You look terrific. What's going on? What are you doing?
Thank you. You look good too.
Thank you. I'm very bald.
Yeah, well, don't you always like shave it off, like typically?
Yeah, but I don't think I was ever keeping it skin. Now, when I shave it, I have like this more awareness of the physicality of my skull than I've ever had in my entire life. Like, when I eat spicy food, I can feel it like start to sweat up there. And like when I had hair, like I never was aware of like any kind of perceptual things like that. I know where every little bump is, every little mole. Like, yeah, I know. I'm not gonna shave you off this time. It's kind of neat.
Yeah, I think that that's really interesting. Like whenever I get hot, so like my head gets hot and I just get like just sweat, like just dripping, especially in the summer. But, like Bobby, like my partner, he just doesn't sweat on his head. And I'm like, well, that's because you're a redhead? Because I have dark hair, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
I don't I don't know.
Well, he's full of mysterious miracles, and I don't think we can compare ourselves to like whatever he experiences or doesn't. He's a very unique creature.
So where are you at?
I converted my garage into a gym that I also use as an art studio and a workspace. Now that we both work from home, it's like, where can you be? And sometimes for the longest time, I would sit outside and take work calls, but the ubiquitous sound in Arizona of the leaf blower, right? It's like, wah, 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 wah. I'm like, I cannot do any of these calls with this going on, and it like makes me so upset. And for some reason, like sitting on the couch, I mean, I could just feel it hurting my back. Like, I'm 40, just I can't sit on the couch all day with a laptop on my crotch. It's making me sweat.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, we're just gonna park in the driveway, and like I'm gonna insulate this thing and try to scorpion proof it and like sit out here.
Yeah, when you were talking about the sounds and everything, Bobby's actually on he has an appointment right now, so he's outside and I'm inside. And I muted myself a second ago because the dog started barking and I'm like, okay, mute for a second. But yeah, we're both home and we both have meetings during the day. Um yeah, it's just being home all the time. Being home.
Being home all the time with the same person. Like, I miss, hey, what'd you do today? Oh, my shit hill of a coworker did that, and this guy cut me off on traffic. Well, I saw something beautiful. Now, what'd you do today? Well, I was there, so I know exactly what you did today. There's no privacy. You know, you're just very, very aware of mouth sounds, breathing. I shuffle my steps sometimes. It's ready for me to like pick up your feet. you know.
I know it's like every sound, everything. Like,
I'm
yeah.
sure
No,
I'm
I.
just so annoying to live with in this kind of conditions.
I'm sure I am as well, but I like. I'm more vocal about how annoyed I am than he is. So yeah.
God, so good to hear your
So
voice.
I know it's so
I've
good to
missed you.
see you.
We had just gotten to a place where like, hey, I was gonna start seeing you more often. We were all gonna get together. I came out that one time, and then done. The ability to go out. So it's I just missed you really bad. And you came and went on social media, and you're just kind of like, don't want to see this. What happened?
Um, so I go through like little periods where I just get super overwhelmed with like social media and
Mhm.
information, and also kind of annoyed by like all the selfies that I see.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like I don't know how to explain it. I'm just like I don't I don't know. I mean, I used to be one of those people that would be like, all right, oh, like here's my dinner for tonight and here's what I'm doing today, here's where I'm going. And then at some point I'm just like I don't want to be updating everybody on my whereabouts or what I'm doing. And then I just got kind of, yeah, I just got annoyed with social media. I also wanted to focus more on, because I'm doing my PhD right now.
Mhm.
So focusing more on that. Um, yeah, and it was nice to just kind of get off for a bit.
I did a 4 months off. Right, just deleted everything. No announcement. No big farewell. Just I'm done until I'm ready to talk to other people. It's very different. Like for whatever reason, it was really about what was going on for me and had nothing to do with whatever I saw people posting. Like even the political nightmare of seeing former friends and family, like really with some terrible takes and being horrible to each other. I was still like, meh, kind of business as usual. But I couldn't. I just couldn't hack it. I couldn't hack sharing of myself. I needed to spend my time with my family and inward and read some books and yeah, just kind of clear. There's like a lot of noise, like signal and noise, right? And I think about that whenever I'm online, um, or consuming any kind of media or interacting with it, right? It's something beyond critical thinking, I think, but there's like signals and noise, and there's so much of it that finding something, that's rewarding and everything is suspect. I mean, literally everything is suspect. Well, who is the founder? Who's on the board? Because there might well be a horrible monster in any given good thing you're trying to be a part of. It was like exhausting, and you want to hear you want to do something that matters. Like I think personally, like having had university activism, in my life, and uh, in the last 5 years, really kind of dropping off of anything like that because I don't leave the house and I don't leave the house at night when things happen, and I'm really afraid now. Um, I just felt like changing my icon wasn't actually doing anything, and that like the virtual proxied there's like some sort of net effect when something spreads and it's like normalize this or let's make a glacially slow social change by all utilizing pronouns. There is some value. Like I'm not saying there's no value, but I felt like I wasn't able to contribute to anything in a meaningful way as long as I was seduced into thinking I did it by pressing like and retweet on an activist page. Like that's not me
Mhm.
using my legal background. That's not me using, you know, my network to like communicate with people. I just wasn't satisfied at all. I love your doggy. Who is this?
This is Desi. Desi is new. She's 7 months.
Oh,
Yeah. My sister, like, sorry, I don't mean to just
well,
like
please.
cut that off. Um, but my third sister, so I have three older sisters. She went out running and she actually found her underneath these bushes,
Mhm.
and just didn't, obviously didn't want to leave her there. So she took her back,
Mhm.
and this was on the res actually. So it was back in September, I believe. And so yeah, she picked her up, brought her like home, and then couldn't keep her herself. So she's like, can someone find a home for her? What's going on? So we decided to take her in for a little bit because we have a yard, and a little bit turned into she's ours now. So now we
Oh.
have Lucy, Ethel, and Desi.
I love it. She looks very, very happy.
Yeah, she's a good girl. She's bigger than the rest, and she's the youngest. So, but back to what you were saying
Oh, the
about
yeah,
the
proxy
liking.
activism,
Yeah.
mediated experiences.
Just
It's once it's available, it starts to supplant the real. And I think that's like that's like an old '90s postmodernism concept, right? That the fake simulated experience could totally replace the real for a lot of people. Whether it's pornography or the fantasies we project onto like other stuff. You could just kind of get hooked on because your brain doesn't know the difference. Like somewhere in its core, you still get a serotonin feedback loop.
mhm.
It's not as intense, and I don't know. I mean, for accessibility, sure, it's really necessary, but like in a lot of cases, listening to albums on YouTube is not the same as going to a punk show.
Mhm.
Um, Actually doing something that helps defend the rights of our fellows against the enemies of love at this particular moment in time. Like that's something. Pressing like or changing your profile picture to a black square doesn't necessarily like. I don't know. I don't even know if it helps spread awareness, so to speak. It wasn't satisfying to me.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. I mean, I'm one of those people that would go and see like that's that's mainly like what I use social media for, was for the events.
Uh-huh.
And so um I did do this whole thing where I got off of social media back, it was in June 2019, for maybe like 6 months from October to June. And the one thing that I missed about it was getting all the updates for like any marches, protests,
Mhm.
events that I could actually attend. That was the one thing that I really missed about it, not being informed. Um, but now that I'm like back on again, it's just like, okay, well, I have all these webinars and these readings and all these events I can go to, but
Mhm.
it just doesn't feel the same, interacting with like the artists or the people that are actually at these events, which is something that I really just, I guess I took that for granted when I was going to these things. Um, but yeah, like other than that, I just don't, there isn't really a lot that I feel like I can do on social media or with social media. It's like, oh, here's an update of me in my picture. Like, here's my picture. Here's what I look like. Do you like it?
Hot or not, I don't know. Yeah. So you're not doing TikTok or anything. You're not doing like all PhD candidates doing dances together with because you
I
should definitely do a TikTok.
I watch TikTok. I
You watch
I
it.
have I have an account, but I don't post anything. So I'm just like watching these TikToks.
Uh,
So yeah, that's a thing now with the TikToks.
aren't they brilliant? I'm just in awe. It's like, and this is kind of a tangent, but you get to decide like what you're gonna be when you grow up two or three times when you're lucky, if you're lucky, right? And you gotta latch onto it, and that's it. Sorry, you'll never think of yourself as a photographer because you didn't pick that when you were a kid, and nobody bought you a camera, so you've never even used a camera, so you don't even picture, you've never let yourself think I'm a photographer. And yet TikTok, of all these social medias that we've seen, these different types of venues, even like including YouTube, there's so much creativity where it's the right time, the right amount of accessible technology. I just find these creators truly artists. They're so beautiful. They're so funny. They could be professional stand-up comics. They're making things that are so much better than traditional media. And it's like, you're probably working a shit job, aren't you? You're like, you're not doing anything like any of this because you got railroaded into picking a degree. It's like, well, once I picked, I've only got 4 years. I can't like stay here and change. And now I got to be
Yeah.
this thing. If you're lucky, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just amazed about how good everybody is. They're so good.
It's like all within 60 seconds too. They like can create an entire story within 60 seconds. And like I'm curious though, what side of TikTok are you on? Like what pops up on your feed?
I don't have TikTok.
Oh.
I watch videos that people send me, and then it opens like on Twitter, or it opens in like a web browser. It's like somebody's, pulled it off. Like I notionally know what it is. Yeah, here I am singing its praises, but like I've never actually signed into TikTok, and I will do it once it is utterly uncool and unfashionable to do, just like I've done everything else.
Yeah. Okay. So Bobby, all right. So like the more you like a video, depending on like the hashtags or who the audience is, it starts to like TikTok will start to create your own news feeds of
Oh,
things that
yeah.
you'll
We see you
like.
like
The
butts. Here are some more butts. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, basically. And so what TikTok am I on? I mean, just like offhand, like lesbian TikTok.
Uh-huh.
Um, not a lot of like it's just like specifically lesbian, bisexual TikTok. Um, not a lot of gay men coming up on my For You, or trans people. Um, of course, native TikTok. Like
Mm-hmm.
native
Mm-hmm.
TikTok is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever joined TikTok, look for the hashtag native TikTok
Mm-hmm.
because there's quality TikToks on there, and I'm just like,
That com was too rough for me. I'm not going to join native TikTok. You need me alive. No.
but like, I'll ask Bobby because I think he has the app, and I'll
Hmm.
ask them like what TikToks come up.
Hmm.
And for him, because he doesn't actually use TikTok, it goes to like generic stuff, like uh, I don't know, young white girls like
The
that's
most generic thing in the world.
it's Starbucks. Like, it just goes to just like a general like here you
Mhm.
go, take a look at this. Or like some people will say, oh no, I ended up like on hetero TikTok, like I need to get off of this right now.
Mhm. Mhm. Or too deep into the discourse. You're lost. It's only discourse. Discourse on discourse. You don't have any substance anymore.
Yeah, and I've ended up like on like AI TikTok and it's like
Mm.
Korean TikTok. That's pretty good content as well. So I mean, like there's so many different communities, like tiny little communities, and you don't necessarily have to like only Korean videos to get on
Mhm.
Korean TikTok. You might like maybe like a few of them, and
Mhm.
then they'll start like popping up in your For You page just randomly, and you're like, oh, I like this. This is great. Or it'll expose you to something like completely like, uh, I don't I don't know, like Mandalorian. I was on Mandalorian TikTok for a minute there.
Mhm.
It's just like it's all over the place.
Do you is it like a thing for you to chill, or do you like it when it's more thought provoking? Like you're doing some really heavy academic lifting still, right? And you're doing. Are you writing a lot yet? Are you still in? What mode are you in?
So I'm in the comprehensive exam stage.
Okay.
So reading and writing.
Hmm.
That's basically it. And yeah, TikTok does like so I wasn't on social media for a while, like Instagram, Facebook. I stopped doing Snapchat stuff, but like TikTok would help me through just mindlessly scrolling and looking at
Hmm.
these videos,
Hmm.
enjoying them, but not making any like deep commitments to like anyone saying like,
Right.
yeah, I'm gonna post on this or I'm gonna do this. Yeah.
Okay, it's problematic. Let me get ready. Right.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's just TikTok.
So why'd you come back to social media? What happened? What changed?
Um, so I mean, you and Liz are both well aware of my mom and my grandma passing. Um, they both passed in December from COVID and within 4 days of each other. And so um, I came back on social media because I needed to support my sisters and post things for asking for contributions, keeping people updated, things like that. And so, yeah, I just wanted to kind of be there because there's no other way. There's no other way to tell people, tell family, friends, or anything other than, social media. And so that's why I was like, all right, well, I will get back on and see what happens. And yeah,
Delphina, I'm so sorry. I mean, Liz and
thank
I
you.
just so so grief struck with you, and
Yeah. Um, don't want to cry on this.
I'll
um,
cry on this. I'll cry on this with you. You don't have to cry alone. I don't care.
yeah, it's a lot to like process and still something that me and my sisters are dealing with, and I don't. It's just going to be there forever. That's
Yeah.
so.
But are you and your sisters doing okay to each other? You know, a lot
Yeah,
of
we're.
how many times have you seen grief like kind of schism? You know, because you have an opportunity. You can really get ugly, or you can really come together, or get ugly then come together. But like you're doing good.
Yeah, no, we've always been really supportive. We've always been really close.
Hmm.
As long as I can remember, like we've always come together for different things. It's not like um we're not mad at each other for anything. We always like support each other and um rely on each other. So that's kind of, we're doing our own things right now. We haven't been really like together since mom's funeral, like in early January. But other than that, we're trying to stay like healthy and trying to, I got the vaccine. I got both of them, both
Hmm.
doses. So thank goodness for that. Yeah. But my sisters, I think they've all gotten their first doses. So, but it's so scary. It's like terrifying.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm tired of feeling that fear all the time. I mean, it ebbs and flows in intensity, but it's like just this baseline that just is behind the scenes, Like there's a storm just always right there. It's like, well, I can close the curtains, but I can still hear the wind. There's a storm right outside.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, like when it first started, I think I was definitely staying away from everyone. And then I kind of relaxed a little bit and I started seeing my sisters. And we were all fine. But then as it started getting, you know, worse with the numbers and like new strains and all of that, I was just like, no, I'm not gonna put my health or safety at risk until I know for sure that I'm like this dose is working. Second dose.
So you're reading, you're writing, you're dabbling in TikTok. You're gonna start making content any day. What else are you doing for fun? What are you listening to?
uh Listening to for some reason I started listening to like Outcast the other day, and I've never really listened to I mean I've listened to like maybe one or two of their albums, but like really like didn't deep dive into Outcast, so that was fun. Just random things, I'm telling you. Like just so many. I'm looking at my phone to see what I've been listening to. Gosh.
Do you have a service that serves you up randomized material? So you're like, oh, Jurassic 5.
Um
That's interesting. Or do you love in the special sauce? Oh God, this is terrible.
I've been watching more things than I've been listening to things. So like
Mm,
right now I've been watching a lot of Peaky Blinders. I just finished up the very last season. So
I don't even know what that is.
do you watch anything
I used
aside
to,
from like
you
children's
know,
shows?
yeah, my flatmates, they are very picky about what gets to be on for how long, and then chances are one of them might shit their pants and the other might get naked. So like you just can't really watch anything. You just have to roll with it. I
Yeah.
figure one day they'll move out and I'll miss them, but I'll be able to watch whatever I want. But I don't know.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
about you? What are you listening to?
Um, the 2020, I really like just did. Let's listen to my favorite albums from when I was 17 to 23, like, and I just like, here we go, Nine Inch Nails rotation, and I just listened to it like day in and day out, day in and day out, just for comfort of the familiar. Um, and then I was just playing it like, oh, I feel like maybe a panic attack's gonna happen. I'm just gonna put on this music. I wasn't even hearing it anymore. It was just gonna like now this is just part of my day as I have several hours of work where I just have this music. Um, but it stopped feeling particularly intentional, and to some degree, I was craving something new too. So I usually hit up Liz to find out like what should I be listening to, and she'll say, okay, well, you at least these three songs by Casey Musgrave will be ones you really like. I'm like, oh, this is clever. This is classic country, like whatever, whoever she points my way. Um, Lately, it's been a lot of uh, female vocalists like Joanna Newsom. Really got into her. Are you familiar? She does this. I don't know, like a Californian take on Appalachian folk music with a harp. And she's not afraid of making songs incredibly densely poetic and lyrical, but it's still being very, very pretty. I don't know. It's interesting stuff, and I can actually really, really get into that. And then at some point, second half of last year, Cigarettes After Sex. If you're not familiar with that, it's just what Mazzy Star would be if they were still making albums and never stopped falling in love like you're still 15, and you're just sad about it. It's beautiful. They're gods of sorrow. The good kind, the romantic sorrow, you know. when you can't listen to the Smiths anymore because you're too annoyed with Morrissey as a human being, you need like other sad music to listen to.
That's so funny. There's an artist who actually wrote a song. Let me see if I can find it. It's are you okay? So JPEG Mafia wrote a song called "I Cannot Fucking Wait Till More Dies," and I was a fan of Morrissey until like recently with his yeah.
yeah,
I
same.
can't even.
I could tolerate a lot of self-indulgent bullshit because I always like, it's not great, it's not evil. He's just kind of an asshole, but I really like him. And then eventually it just kept sliding. Like, no, no, he's not kind of an asshole. He's really toxic. Who knows how how much of any of this informed his behaviors in the past? But like at this point, so this is just who you are now, man. And until you're dead, I don't really want to listen to your music. Afterwards, I'll be like, yeah, okay. I try to take, that eternal debate of like problematic creator, author, musician, whatever, leader, and then like what did they do that I could take a value, and like how do you parse it? And like my number one rule is the blood money done flowing to you in your estate? Because I really don't want to contribute to the direct blood money. I mean, all money is built on blood, but like the direct like blood money. Um, and then the other is like, are these beliefs and ideologies within the work itself? Have I been uncritical about the work? Uh, try to like analyze it. If the work still seems to be like it has an inherent value, even though it came from a problematic person who is dead, and their estate's not getting the money anymore, I'm gonna try to treat it like jewelry that an ex gave me, or or a gift or something. Like, yes, we're over, but this is mine, and I get to choose how I feel about it. Uh, and I think that's like a really complicated series of steps, but
Yeah.
I don't know any other way to parse it because shitty people sometimes make really good stuff, and that stuff could still be problematic, and I could still like it, but still know that I don't like things about it or its creator. But knowing Morrissey is still, being an asshole, like it makes me really, especially like I can't go there yet. Gotta wait.
Yeah. No, I feel that way about Kanye. Kanye West. I can't.
Right, right.
I can't. My oldest nephew listens to Kanye, and I'm just like, why?
Hmm.
Why do you listen to him? And he's like, well, because he's good. And there's that whole debate about like, well, he's a good artist, but he's like a shitty person. And then I'm like, no, it's really hard for me to separate like artists and things that they say, regardless of like how good they are. Like, if you're gonna say that slavery was a choice, like Kanye said, then it's like, what? No. Like, how can you say that? Like, how can you say that? And then, like, I don't know. I just can't separate the two things. And there's a lot of artists like that I just I can't do it.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, his is particularly complicated because I have a strong sense that he's unwell or often unwell, and there's a real exploitive gaze to see what wacky thing he's going to do. It's like, well, when somebody's sick and they have fame and influence, their actions while ill could be so magnified, and how horrible and like even more triggering into bad decision making that has to be. I mean, I don't want fame under any conditions at all. Like I would never like, making my wish to the genie. I want fame, but I want to not be driven mad by, like, I can't put any conditions on it. Like, I don't want it. I couldn't do it. And, whatever is going on with that particular musician, I hope he gets some help and feels better and, doesn't have to face the wrath of like being constantly in media, right? So, Free Britney. Have you seen the documentary Free Britney? Are you familiar with
I've
it?
not seen it, but TikTok again has this whole thing about Britney that I didn't know even existed. Like,
Yeah, neither did I. But I like how just on display uh, our gazes when, like, oh, she shaved her head and she's ramming a umbrella at a reputable journalist. It's like, no, 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 no. Don't frame it. This isn't a joke. This is somebody's life you're watching. But she has money. It's like, yeah, kinda. Like, it doesn't really work out the way people imagine it. It's just like a weird ideology. And to some degree, I feel like our performers and our people we project into fame, into like those modern royalty or whatever, that imagined thing we want them, like, it's gotta be bad for the soul. Like, it's just gotta be. Like, it looks terrible. Constantly being on looks terrible. Mistakes being magnified, illness being magnified. Poor Britney. And I think to some degree, later, once Kanye is done being like visibly still doing wacky stuff, there'll be like a review of like, oh my God, wasn't that horrible the way everyone collectively dunked on him at the individual level on social medias or in mainstream media, like how funny this is, when it's like, oh, this was somebody in like crisis, like a severe crisis, mental health crisis.
mhm.
Um, it's all sick. It's all sick. All money and all media, except for TikTok, is just diseased.
Except TikTok. Don't come
Yeah.
for TikTok.
No, those kids are adorable.
Oh goodness. Yeah. TikTok is great. Me and one of my sisters were always sending each other TikToks, like just constantly back and forth. Like she curated my own news feed, or like my own feed at this point.
My only hope is that everybody finds enough agency to like properly capitalize on their moments of being TikTok something, TikTok famous, because there was like a tiny window of time when there were MySpace celebrities and a couple became what we consider career working in show business and stuff. So it could happen, but vast numbers of people online now really make those kind of discoveries further and farther. And then if you do get it, you just get shared everywhere. You can't make money. You can't make a living. You can't control your own likeness because the infrastructures of fame to control aren't there.
Mhm.
And so you just know that people are reprinting your words or your dance or your thing, and you can't grasp any of it. And then you get evicted. You're like, I can't even pay my rent. I can't even, can't even
Well,
afford my
that
tuna.
like okay, so you know, there's creators out there. So there's specifically Black creators on TikTok who created dances that are now going viral, that are trending, but they don't get the credit for creating those dances or starting a trend or doing these things, which would actually like help their platform. So it would give them more likes, it would give them more views, all of those things that specifically like Black creators, um, they've had issues with on TikTok or vocalizing. they're using their platform to like talk about racial justice, social justice, and a lot of BIPOC creators. The same thing is happening to them where they start to get shadow banned. So
Mhm.
like TikTok will, start to like remove their videos from the For You page where people can't see what they're talking about, or their content gets taken down
Mhm.
for talking about like racial justice or
Mhm.
any of these really important issues. It's like, nope, let's just go ahead and keep doing the dances and getting paid for it versus like talking about real things that are happening.
Mhm.
So yeah, come for TikTok. Come for all of it.
Mhm. Yeah. Control over intellectual property. It's absolutely a racial justice issue. I don't know that anybody can even talk about it outside of that context when talking about the United States. I mean, I don't. IP law is very, globally, but in the U.S., long history of theft. In fact, you could say that radio and all media after radio was built on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's sorry, terrible thing. But I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with those kids. I just hope everybody that's making stuff now that it survives the end of a server crash or it survives, the next thing that says, well, what happened to all my cool MySpace blog? My live journal. I recently found an exported file that I had emailed to an old Yahoo account that I finally got the password for again, and found that I had sent myself like 20 or 30 pages of my MySpace. This was before law
Oh
school,
my God.
right? So this was like I hadn't even decided I was going to go to law school. I think I was in my final year of my undergrad, and I'm talking shit about people who hang out at the same Denny's as me, and we're like basically subtweeting but sub MySpacing each other. Um, dreadful poetry. No punctuations. Turns out I never use its, you know, um, possessive correctly. I think I almost all like it's my use of its is complete in 2000, whatever 2004. My use of its was completely out of control. Very bad. But that was just my experience. I think for the TikTokers and younger folks, I hope they get to keep it all. I hope this becomes the stuff that their grandkids get to see. Like, imagine having TikTok videos that your great grandparents made, you know? And like maybe you only knew your great grandparents as like a wee one, but even all the photos you've ever seen, they were like born old. But then somebody one day like, okay, we do have their complete internet history and all their TikTok videos. And now you're old enough, let's see what grandma and grandpa were like, in their 20s. And it's just being like mind-blowingly cool and how much personality you would get to see there that I don't know, I don't have. Like I have stories about my ancestors, but I don't have a whole lot of photos and I don't have a whole lot of like what people would think of as like this really tight, nicely bound history, right? It's fragmented, and if we could leave for our great grandchildren TikTok videos, I think that would be such a cool thing to find and open up, and you could even intentionally send a message like, hello, future generations," because it's all a time capsule in this sense. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I
Of course, it would be weird to see your great grandpa's TikTok feed and like his history and just find out he really liked butts a lot. He really look at all
yeah,
of this.
he likes big butts and he cannot lie.
But we're gonna know this. We're gonna know this. Like all of this sort of data gets to be part of our record in a way that looking at ancestry or genealogy or social history. Like you have to do so much research because you don't have a lot of personal information preserved that way.
Yeah, like that's when you were helping me with my genealogy, we came to like a halt because um so with like American Indians and with specifically Navajos and like Mormons,
Mm-hmm.
there were a lot of Mormons that came into our communities like in the 1800s, and so they started this whole like census system, taking account for all the people in each household. And so when they were doing that, they would spell out people's names the way that they heard them.
Mm-hmm.
So if they said, like, for instance, that guy's name is the man with the red beard, like in Navajo, Daga. Daga is how you say it, like a beard.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so that translated to do guy. So it would be Dugi. So there's a whole bunch of do guys like in,
Mm-hmm.
Second Mesa. And like Yezhe, my little one, that's Yazi. And
Mm-hmm.
so
Oh wow.
that's and so whenever everything is translated, it loses like the person that it's attached to. Like, oh, that person in Navajo is a very descriptive language. So we would describe the person as they are.
Mm-hmm.
And so if that description is lost, it's like, oh, well, we called this person, this, but now their last name is like their first name is William and their last name is Do Guy, because that's the name that they gave them. We lose a lot of like our ancestors in that way. And so for Navajo specifically, we tell stories
Mm-hmm.
to pass on that knowledge. But we came to a halt when it was like, well, what's your great grandfather? Was this his name or was it this? And it was like, well, I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Right. In some ways, I mean, I like a lot of the freedom, so to speak, like detached from records. Grandma could tell the story the way she needs to, and it doesn't get contested with video.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
if she decided that one particular story doesn't need to be told anymore in the family, like that's the end of it, and that's actually, I believe, her decision,
Mhm.
which is counter to like the historian view. The American historian view is that all stories are for all people, and I'm like, no, it's not. Some stories, that's the end of that story, and they decided that. But when you leave behind all of this evidence of a person digitally, you do lose, as much as your descendants might gain in like transparency. You do lose control unless on passing, a person can like click and shrink wrap my digital footprint and make it go away. I don't know. That's a complicated issue.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. I'm just thinking about like what that would look like because I'm thinking about, say, like Facebook has Facebook memories.
Uh-huh.
So like posts that you have from a year ago or like 10 years ago, however long you've been on Facebook. And I found out that between, I would say, at the beginning of February or and like until now, I had a stripper stalker for like a whole month. So I'm like, do I do I want to remember that time in my life? Like it's coming up when
Uh-huh.
this person was like showing up randomly at the same
Uh-huh.
location or going to my old job and asking where my new job was.
No,
I
wow, right.
Yeah.
Like forgetting is kind of nice. Don't remind me of the
Yeah,
worst year of my life. Thank you. Yeah.
yeah, that was a really interesting little little time. Thankfully it's over. But it was really, like do I want to remember these things? But then there's also the times where, like something will pop up on my memories, like the other day, when me and my mom went to Winderock, and I took her to Earl's,
I saw this.
we went to Gallup, and I took her to Earl's, and it was like, this is the most expensive lunch I've ever taken my mom to, because, like, for the people that don't know what Earl's is, it's this place where it's a restaurant in New Mexico, and you have vendors that come around with like all sorts of jewelry and like crafts, and so they just kind of go by your table and do this, and you're like, oh, let me look at this, let me look at that. And so me and my mom were sitting there just like, yes, I will take that, yes, I will take this, oh, this
Right.
fits nicely, I like
Mhm.
this. And so, like some of those memories.
Oh yeah, right, right. It can be very sweet, can't it? You know. I don't know. I just hope that in all the collection of it, it doesn't become somehow less valuable, right? Because
Mhm.
there's so many pictures of so many people. You have such a chronology, and it's not curated. I've got a cousin who just, I swear, she just plugs in her phone and says, "Okay, upload all pictures." So there'll be like 700 pictures of a football game, and it's like, just next second, next second, next. It's like this could have been a video. Why are there so many pictures? And they're not like selectively focused in on like even my cousin's kids. It's just like, guy scrolling through, like, hey, I know that somewhere one year you posted that cool picture from when we were kids, and I just gotta find it. But I'm scrolling through 100,000 meaningless shots that I really hope they have a lot of value to you. Like, I really, really, really hope for people that do amass this big digital footprint, that like in the story you just had of like a reminder that came up, like something really, really awesome and positive and glowing. Like, I hope these things provide people value, and it doesn't just become a thing that gets stored and then you don't even look at, you don't even think to look at. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think about that too, especially when I'm looking at my own pictures. Like, I took a whole bunch of pictures when I went to Mexico City in 2019, and I haven't looked at them, and I'm like, you know what, I have to look at these pictures. Like, I took a whole bunch of pictures in Frida Kahlo's house, like in her blue house, and I'm just like, I need to look at these pictures again. But I end up looking at, like, it's funny because I end up looking at the pictures of my nieces and nephews
Yeah.
the most when they were babies. And so Bobby will know that I'm looking at these photos, because of the face I make when I'm looking at them. And he's like, are you looking at those pictures of your like nieces and nephews as babies? And I'm like, yeah. My favorite pictures.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, babies are amazing.
They're so cute. I love babies so much. They're so cute. And I miss like taking care of my nieces and nephews as they were babies, or even like my dogs as like puppies, and now
Mhm.
they're just giant, and I can't hold
Mhm.
them more.
Yeah, there's a certain lean towards you warm lumpiness to baby things. I think there's some sort of concept in, I don't know if it's from anthropology or sociology, but like there's a thing about cuteness in baby mammals, that it's engineered to trigger sympathetic feelings, um, in their protectors, to like want to encourage the bond, and two, so that the adults don't murder them because they're so annoying at their worst, that evolutionarily, in order to keep like having some tolerance, like, well, at least make them super cute. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense now. Oh my god. Baby mammals specifically, because like,
Yeah.
if you see a baby fish, you're just gonna be like, just kill it. I don't want it.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Hmm. I'm gonna have to like think about that.
Oh, I like your cup.
Thanks. One of my sister's gifts to me.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's one of my favorite shades of red.
It's made by Pendleton.
Hmm. I have a deep, deep desire for like brightly colored plates and cups, what is it? That one brand, Fiesta Ware. Are you familiar with that? Had like I think there's some apocryphal tale of like the 70s that having radioactive paint or bad, I don't know, some sort of thing in like certain colors. But that might be total myth. But I just love it. Like I think there's part of me that's connecting to like the primal, like bright colored, good food. Like it is a good berry to eat or whatever. Like it's just so cheery. And instead, I have like these slate gray plates that are very austere, and it's like, yeah, they look like cool. Like a catalog house looks cool, but like I kind of want just really bright, obnoxious colors.
Yeah. Fiesta wear. I haven't thought about like that because I used to work for Macy's.
Uh
So yeah, the Fiesta wear, that was a big seller. So
huh.
fancy that you had to pay like $4 for one plate.
Oh my God, I remember you working at Macy's, and it's like you were exploring Bitcoin before Bitcoin existed because it was called Macy's Bucks. And you had like all this currency.
Yes, Macy's money. I wonder if they still do that. It was for so like any associate whoever opened a credit card, a Macy's card, regardless of whether the application was approved or not, after the like it came out like in the receipt, little receipt thing, and it would tell the person if they were approved or not. And so you would hand that over to the person and would give them their credit limit. But then after that, it would print off Macy's money. And
Hmm.
so you could accumulate like I think some of them it was like $2 off of four or
Hmm.
something. So you would accumulate all this like Macy's money. So if you had like something that was $100, you could essentially get like rack up $50 in Macy's money to get it, and then you could use your 20% discount, and it'd be like
Wow.
$40 for that item.
It was amazing. And you were just so good. I feel like academia is very lucky to have you because you could be selling luxury cars or whatever you wanted to sell. You're so good at sales, but like you're like a nobler pursuit. But you could always do that.
Yeah. I haven't thought about working at Macy's in a long time. And I was their polo specialist, so I would like have to sell. I think like in December I had to sell like almost like $100,000 in polo, like in December. Yeah,
Oh
and
my
I
God.
think I met my sales goal because
Oh,
it's like a old white men that are particularly drawn to polo, or like old white women with money, especially in the Biltmore area. And it's like, yes, you do need that new like polo winter coat. So $200, that's not a problem for you at all. Like, here you
oh
go. Yeah, it's
my God.
pretty easy.
Oh, the patience of a saint. Retail, it teaches us so much about ourselves.
Yeah. But no, I don't want to ever work at Macy's ever again.
I would work at Hot Topic again. And I would work at any bookstore I've ever worked at again. But that's it. In
I
terms
didn't
of
know you worked at Hot Topic.
oh yeah, 1999. Yeah, must have been 99. It was fun.
Were you like pretty goth? Is that was that like the look?
Me,
Yeah.
uh, I was just a hot mess. You know, I don't, I didn't have the money to look like that. Like I looked like a person who had given themselves their own haircut while drunk and on ketamine because I was. And, you know, I cashed each check at a, you know, if I could get a friend to take me to their bank and cash it for me or to a, you know, just payday check cash place where they take a cut. Uh, I was living, geez, at first I was living by myself after all my roommates moved out, and then I didn't have enough money to keep the place. I racked up at that exact time what was then a $40 electric bill that I couldn't pay. So they turned off the power, and I moved out. Um, I was homeless for a long time. I did all this other running around. When I was in law school, in order to get my next tier of federal loans, they said, "Hey, um, you've got a credit agency dinging your credit. Like we can't give you a loan until you resolve this." I'm like, who do I owe money to? And I'd already kind of like rehabilitated myself. I'd been in school for 5 years at that point. I'd done my undergrad and done all this stuff. Like, well, it looks like it's a collection agency that owns the debt, but it was sold to them from Commonwealth Edison, the power company in Illinois. And I'm like, oh my God, the $40 bill. Okay, well, how much is it now? And like, oh, it's $800. And I'm like, hold on. In order to get my student loan, that's going to pay for, this disgusting amount of out-of-state law school tuition that's not covered by my scholarship because I had a 50% scholarship. But it was still a huge loan. In order to get this like huge number, in order for me to continue on as a student, I would have to first pay $800 to discharge this debt.
Oh my god.
I was terrified. I like had like a full-on panic attack, and Dana at the time was like, "Here, give me the phone." So she called them and said, "Listen, I'll give you $300 right now via direct deposit if you discharge this debt." And they said, "Okay." And I was like, "Oh my God, thank you." Like she was just always on point to like in situations where I was completely had no frame of reference on like how to deal with landlords or contracts or doctors because I wasn't raised knowing how to like interact with anybody like that because we never had things like that. Um, she was just always like right there to kick ass, and it was so cool, so cool.
You got a student loan. This is from the Department of Education, right? Your student loan.
Mhm.
Why were they holding that against? I just don't understand why they were holding that against you because it has no bearing on your credit as far as like getting a student. Because I help like students with like
Yeah,
FAFSA and
it
all
was
of that.
funny. It was a funny one. So it was. I'm trying to. I can't even recall the nature of law school loans. It might have been my bar exam one because the school ones were principally federal, but I seem to recall there was like there's just something in my like second or third year that had a check against that.
Mhm. Oh,
Nightmare. Tried to block out
student loans.
everything that wasn't just hanging out in Providence.
Yeah.
Those were
That
fun.
that I just wish that we hung out more when we were in Providence.
I was such a mess. So I'm on 3 different mood stabilizers. I have a psych nurse and a therapist. I've got PTSD, CPTSD, and anxiety disorder. And I've been white knuckling my whole life, and I've only started getting this kind of help for the last 3 years. I don't even know how I made it through law school with as I think I've joked with you before, like this is a terrible time, like to have met somebody cool and try to be friends. Like I was at my worst. I was just like crying. I was just freaking out. I couldn't keep up with the work. I didn't like seem to like understand it at a deeper level. Everyone else seemed to have parents who were attorneys and doctors. I couldn't maintain a friendship, with anybody. I'm glad we met and like reconnected and solidified that bond, but you would not have wanted to spend time with me at that point. It was dark, dark days.
I feel like that was like a lot of people, not saying like not minimizing
No,
anything that you experienced or that you went through. Oh, sorry.
it's okay. We're running
Um,
over. We gotta.
no, I keep getting these spam calls,
Well,
and
it's tax season, so they're all trying to scam everybody with fake IRS threats.
I just have so many like spam calls, like just constantly. Bobby doesn't get this many spam calls, and I'm just like, what the hell? Or I'll answer it and there's no one on the line. Like it's just weird. But um no, I mean, I think that in like a lot of my friends in Providence, I felt like were lost, confused, not doing super well in school because they didn't know what to do. It was their first time, like it was my first time away from my family. It was my first time experiencing like
Mm-hmm.
life on my own and doing these like things by myself as like an adult. And it was so scary, like for everyone. But like one of the things I would do, and this is why I said I wish that we hung out more in Providence, is I would have people over to my place and I'd make them all Navajo tacos because that was like a comfort food and I wanted to feed people to make them forget just for a second, like, hey, everything sucks right now. I get it. But come over, eat some food, and just hang out and talk. Or my roommate, she brought back her N64 from home over break. And so we would have these like Mortal Kombat, like tournaments at my house, like or at our
Right,
place, just
right.
randomly, like have people over, like stuff like that. And so it was really nice to have like that connection with people, especially from different backgrounds, because I didn't really hang out with like just, the natives at Brown or just, um, like my flatmates or my roommates. It was
Right.
just like everybody.
Well, we got to get this going again because we got a lot to show you. I want you to come over and hang out in my art studio room, and we'll play some N64 or something.
Yes, absolutely. I would love that, just to hang out and you and
Mhm.
Bobby can, shoot the shit and chill and play music because he's looking for someone to collaborate with
I
and do
know,
things
I
with.
know. We're gonna do something fun. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
Even if it goes nowhere. I mean, I think I've completely divorced all sense of like creativity from any kind of expectation or output, and I've never felt better about throwing myself at collaborations or albums, even though I'm not really a musician or whatever. Like, yes, I'm taking inspiration from the TikTok generation, even though I'm not on it. I'm like, let's also just throw it all. Doesn't have to be so structured. It's like this is my business plan.
Yeah, here's my proposal on our next hangout.
Oh
We
God, I'm applying for a grant, and why? It's like I want to do it. It seems fun. No, that's not a good reason for a grant. Yeah.
apply for a grant. Do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna press end on recording here because I just want to talk to you privately for 1 second.
Of
All right,
course.
bye everybody in YouTube land. We'll talk to you later.